Yo, there is so much to love in humanity. Something I really dislike is doomerism, especially about humanity. I think that it's counterproductive, so to speak. Doomerism is not going to help anybody, not whenever it comes to political issues, climate issues, or even personal issues. How are you going to heal your trauma if you keep saying, I can't heal my trauma? But that's not the point of this video. I want to take this video to share with you a quote, super short, from a play by Tennessee Williams. Tennessee Williams, if you're not familiar, was a mid-century American playwright, mid-20th century. He's famous for plays like A Streetcar Named Desire, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and one of my favorites, The Glass Menagerie. For nowadays, the world is lit by lightning. Beautiful. When I was a senior in high school, I read one of Tennessee Williams' lesser-known plays called Night of the Iguana. It's a funny title, like Night of the Iguana. It's kind of ridiculous. The first time that I read Night of the Iguana, it was what got me into, or back into, depending on what kind of story I want to tell, poetry. Tennessee Williams has a character in Night of the Iguana who has the appellation name, for those of you out there who don't know what that means. Night of the Iguana has this character in it who is called the oldest living and practicing poet. The whole play, he is working on what is, assumed to be his final poem, and he's been working on it for years. When I read that play in the dramatic literature class that I was in, I was so struck by how Tennessee Williams was able to write a poem with extreme metrical and rhyme precision. If you read the poem, and I'll link it below or something, you can see that the syllable pattern, the rhyme scheme, the language that he uses to write the poem is so exact. And yet, the poem expresses such a deep well of love and courage and empathy. It's really amazing to think that Tennessee Williams wrote this poem, and I still have at least the first and final stanzas memorized. O courage, could you not as well select the second place to dwell, not only in that orange tree, but in the frightened heart of me? As I've gotten older as a poet, it's maybe not the best poem in the world, but it's amazing. All of this is to say, I revisited Night of the Iguana maybe a year ago. I saw a new version of it here in New York City, and I also saw RuPaul speak in person on her book tour, and she mentioned Night of the Iguana being one of her favorite plays. When I rewatched Night of the Iguana, and watching it on the stage, the movie version, which is awesome too, and hearing RuPaul talk about it, there is one line that really stuck with me. I forget it every so often, but I shared it with my roommate, and they remind me of it sometimes. I think they think about it more than I do. One of the main characters says, and there's this big context behind it, but the quote, I think, stands on its own. Nothing human disgusts me. Nothing human disgusts me. How beautiful. How true, at least for me. And I think that there is a lot to unpack in that statement, because it really begs, a lot of empathy for the speaker. What I mean is, how can you say that nothing human disgusts you? Look at all of the disgusting things that humans do to themselves, to one another, to children, to nature, animals. How can you say that nothing human disgusts me? But I love humanity. I really do. And for anybody out there who also loves that quote or likes what I've just shared, you have to understand that it really does demand for you to say, okay, everything that humans have done, it doesn't produce in me disgust. It might produce in me judgment. It might produce in me horror. And it doesn't mean that I don't condemn actions. But nothing human disgusts me. I understand humanity. I am humanity. I believe that there is a connection between the poem that Tennessee Williams has a different character recite and that quote, "Nothing human disgusts me." There is a universal spirit in all things, animate and inanimate, dumb matter, intelligent matter, nature, humans. Nothing human disgusts me because I am human. I understand it. And though I might not do it myself, it does not make me turn away my head when I see something that is terrible. Quite the opposite. I run toward it. I embrace it because I understand that the darkness that can be in any action lives in me too. My name is Andrew Ty, world-famous poet superstar who feels no disgust when confronted by your beautiful humanity. I will always love you.